See you then. Look, let's just return to the latest on Andrew Mountbatten, Windsor, because his former personal assistant has confirmed that she will be speaking to police about her time working for him. What can we expect?
When the handcuffs clicked shut in February 2026, the world thought they'd seen the ultimate downfall of Andrew. But the real betrayal wasn't happening in a police station, it was happening inside a quiet office at the palace. For years, one woman held the keys to every secret, every check, and every midnight visitor. Now, the silence is officially over. Charlotte Manley is talking to the police, and she's brought the receipts. It makes you wonder, what exactly did she find in those files that made her finally turn?
So Charlotte Manley, that's the name of the person. She was basically Andrew's former personal assistant. She's confirmed she will be speaking to the police. She was appointed as his private secretary originally in 1996 and later became a private secretary and treasurer for 2001 to 2003.
Loyalty is a luxury, and in the high-stakes world of the York household, that luxury just ran out. Most people think a secret dies when the person keeping it stops talking, but for Charlotte Manley, the opposite is true. For 7 years, she wasn't just an assistant, she was a ghost in the room. As the treasurer and private secretary, she saw the bank transfers that shouldn't have existed. She saw the names on the manifests that were never meant for public eyes. Now she's stepped out of the shadows with a chilling message for investigators. She told reporters she'd prefer to speak with the police than the media. It's a move that has sent the legal teams into a tailspin. Why go to the authorities if you have nothing to tell? In the world of high-level investigations, that phrase is a code. It's the sound of a gatekeeper deciding which secrets are worth protecting and which ones are about to be exposed. The documents she handled between 1996 and 2003 aren't just old files, they are a roadmap of every controversial trip and every suspicious connection Andrew ever made. Every overseas flight and every late-night meeting left a footprint. Manley was the one who followed that trail. But as the police begin to dig into her records, they've stumbled upon a single low-value transaction that tells a much darker story. A story that starts with a signature on a palace check and ends in a room that was never supposed to be searched.
Report in the Times that you might remember that she was a signatory on a £75 cheque, as it's about Australian dollars, about 142, from Buckingham Palace to pay for a massage.
A £75 cheque sounds like a rounding error, but in the hands of the police, it's a smoking gun. In June 2000, that exact amount was pulled from a Buckingham Palace account and signed by Charlotte Manley herself. On paper, it looked like a routine administrative cost. In reality, it was the price tag for a meeting that should have stayed behind closed doors. This wasn't a payment for a business lunch or office supplies. It was allegedly the fee for a massage arranged by Ghislaine Maxwell.
Which was arranged by Ghislaine Maxwell. And I was just digging up some of the old reports on this. There was a South African masseuse called Monique Gianelloni, I think it is, who was a Maxwell as a client at her London clinic previously, and said she was told by the socialite that she was going to be introduced to someone more famous than God. That's what Ghislaine Maxwell apparently.
The woman on the receiving end of that check later told a story that would make the palace walls sweat. She described walking into a private room where Andrew greeted her in nothing but a robe before appearing completely naked. It was a moment she called embarrassing, but the financial trail makes it something much worse. It makes it official. Critics are now demanding to know how royal funds were ever allowed to touch the Epstein network. The paper trail proves that the connections weren't just social, they were financial, and Manley was the one holding the pen. But the questions don't stop at the palace gates. While the UK police are following the money, the FBI has been busy unearthing something even more damaging in the heart of New York. Because as bad as a naked encounter in London looks, it's nothing compared to the photographic evidence about to surface from across the Atlantic.
The Epstein files continue. You and I have talked about it. Over the weekend, there was another picture of Andrew with another young woman. You can see it there on screen, face blackened out. He's got his hands all over her. She does look very young.
The DOJ doesn't leak photos unless they're designed to destroy a defense. Deep within the millions of pages of newly released Epstein files, a single image has surfaced that has allegedly sent the York legal team into a flat-out panic. It's a grainy, high-contrast shot taken inside Epstein's New York townhouse, and it reportedly shows a man with an unmistakable resemblance to Andrew, with a young woman on his lap. This isn't just another rumor, it's a visual anchor for a mounting pile of testimony that can no longer be ignored. One of the most damaging accounts comes from a Brazilian model who has finally gone on the record. She claims she didn't just see Andrew at the Upper East Side residence, she was part of the hospitality provided there. According to her testimony, she both gave and received a massage from him in a setting that was far from professional. For years, the defense was built on the idea that these meetings simply didn't happen. But when you combine a witness statement with a DOJ photograph, the denial strategy starts to look like a suicide mission. The pressure is mounting from both sides of the ocean. In London, the police are using these American revelations to squeeze former protection officers, asking if they recognize the locations in these photos. They want to know exactly who was in the room when the cameras were off. And while the legal battle rages in the courtrooms, the fallout at home has reached a breaking point. Sarah, who has stood by him through decades of scandal, is now facing a reality where the family name is no longer a shield, but a target. And what happens next might just be the most heartbreaking chapter of all. The walls haven't just closed in, they've officially been locked from the outside. In early March 2026, the York family reached a point of no return when Princess Eugenie quietly stepped down from her high-profile role as patron of a major anti-slavery charity. For years, she was the face of the fight against human exploitation, but as the Epstein files continued to bleed fresh details into the public eye, her position became untenable. This isn't just about optics anymore, it's about a family in total freefall, with even the next generation being forced to sever ties to protect whatever remains of their own reputations. While Eugenie retreats from the public eye, Sarah is facing a different kind of nightmare. Stripped of her titles and evicted from the life she once knew, she is reportedly living in a state of virtual recluse as the legal bills and the fallout from Andrew's February arrest begin to mount. The social circle that once surrounded the Yorks has evaporated, replaced by a growing list of charities and former associates who are scrubbing their names from history. The loyalty that held this family together for decades has been replaced by a desperate, silent struggle for survival as they wait to see whose name appears in the next batch of unsealed documents. But the most chilling development isn't happening in the charity world, it's happening in the halls of Parliament. High-ranking ministers have confirmed they are now considering unprecedented legislation to remove Andrew from the line of succession entirely. This would be the final, irreversible exile, a move that would effectively delete his standing within the monarchy, regardless of the trial's outcome. The pressure is coming from all sides, and as the police move from questioning protection officers to reviewing the secret trade manifests, the sense of an ending is undeniable. The stage is now set for a confrontation that will change the monarchy forever, with the silent assistant, Charlotte Manley, preparing to hand over her records and the DOJ dangling a potential photographic smoking gun. The question isn't whether the truth will come out, but how much of the family will be left standing when it does. We are watching the final collapse of a dynasty, and as the 2026 investigation deepens, the world is left wondering if the most shocking revelation is still to come.